next up we're going to have Korby Siggard, our claims manager, just talk about some of the more recent claims that we've had, that we've seen out there in the counties, some of the lessons that we've learned and the counties have learned, so that you don't have to repeat the same mistakes over again in your county that others have learned from. So, Korby, looks like you're going to be throwing candy at people.
Yeah. Okay, yeah, I have, oh, there it is. Okay, then you just, Sarah. All right, sorry, it's hard to find out you're going to be speaking after lunch and after the speaker. It's like, I don't know how I keep your attention, but, so I decided to get some Smarties that I can throw at you if you are not, if I catch you sleeping or dozing off, you're going to get hit by a Smartie, but I'd like to give them to you if you get answers correct. So just, if you get something right, you get some Smarties. And who doesn't like Smarties? They're the best. Okay, so this last week I had to go to USIP sponsored a golfing hole at the Davis County golf course. And they needed me to go up and hand out water and stuff at the conference, or at the golf outing. So I went to this golf outing, and someone came along, and they said, USIP, who's USIP? What do you guys do? Who are you? And they said, oh, basically, to summarize, we're the insurance company for the counties. You know, because I didn't have a lot of time to do a huge explanation. He says, he says, are you guys, do you have Johnny Million in your group? And I said, yeah. I said, why is that? He said, I went to something recently, and he did a presentation at it. Well, I should have left it at that. Because instead I said, so what did he talk about? And, it's funny, he had no idea. And it's nice because Johnny isn't in here either. Because I have no idea what he's talking about. And it kind of caught me off guard because it was very awkward for just a moment. It's like, well then.
Surprisingly, he presented every day, we had no idea what was about it.
So, I started thinking about it. I said, why do we have conferences? Why do we have training? Because honestly, how many of you in here find that when you walk out that door today, your brain is just wiped clean and you go on your day? I mean, really, how much information do you really take with you from a conference? And you really have to get engaged, and you have to be involved, and you have to take notes. But if you're like me, can you read your notes an hour from now and you're going to review them? No, and then you're looking at them like, what was I thinking when I wrote that song? So it made me think, are we wasting our time doing conferences? Why do we do this? But the interesting thing he did say, he said, I don't know what he spoke about, but I know that we made some changes in our office. And I thought, that is what this is about. It's about changing the way we do things. So here's a question for you. What are the 3 things that we fear the most about ourselves? Not, my kid getting kidnapped or something. That's fearing about someone else. But as far as ourselves, what are the 3 top things we fear the most? Okay, death. Who would put death as a top 3? Right? Do you think it's number 1? Okay, that's interesting. In her mind, guess what the number 1 fear is? But by the way, you get smart because you got one. Most people fear something that I'm having to do right now. Public speaking is the number 1 fear over death to most people. They'd rather be dead than have to give presentations. So that's kind of. So then you have death number 2. Who can guess number 3? They've given away the answer. Someone guess it. Smarties at hand? No. Nope. Something I said, no, something that I said that happens, you got it again. So you get it, look at that, she's just a smarty. Change. People are against, they don't want to change. And that was what struck me so heavily with this comment about Johnny's presentation that he did, is when the person said, I don't know what he talked about, but we made changes in the way we did things. And that is how we have to look at things, is how do we make these changes? And I hate to do this, Matt. I hate to put you on the spot. In fact, I'm just going to give you a smarty because I'm putting you on the spot a little bit. Yeah. Because you set me up perfect this morning. We were talking about this yesterday. I said, what is the most common claim that someone says we can do nothing about? We cannot change the outcome. It's going to happen 100% of the time. And he mentioned it this morning. It was right in my lap. Hitting a deer. He says, we have those claims in the county where we can't change. And I thought, that's the whole point of my presentation, is to get people to realize we can change. He said, you can't change the fact that you're going to hit a deer. So, who can answer me a question? Can you change and not hit a deer? Are there things you can do to prevent hitting a deer? Certainly. There's the right answer. What are some things we can change? Right, that's called complete elimination, right? What else? Brush guards, cattle guard on the front of the car, right? Yeah, you're still going to hit the deer if you're not going to cause as much damage to the car. What else could we do? We got some real smarties in this room. Slow down. Okay, let me tell you.
Down, but there's a lot of deer here right downtown Monticello at 30 miles an hour.
But what did you learn from that? No. The answer is you slow down in Monticello City.
Slow down more, I guess.
Right. Okay, so here's the scenario. And I'm not going to, I'm going to change the name and the location just for, we had a deputy that, every fall, I don't know if you've noticed this, but if you look at your claims for deer losses, most of them occurred in about October. It's because the deer are changing locations. They go from higher elevation to lower elevation. And it's interesting, it's always right before the first major cold front comes through. And I watched it every year. I'll see all these, I'll see, hey, we hit a deer, and I'll know there's a big storm coming. The first big storm is going to lay down the snow. They see it coming. So every year I kept saying, we need to send out a note to the insurance coordinators that the deer are going to be on the move in the fall, so let's slow down so we don't get these claims. And we started doing that, and claims actually did start going down. So one thing you can do is understand deer, the environment of deer, when they move. Another thing you can do is, well, here's the scenario. So we had this deputy that 3 years in a row hit a deer in the same spot. And he said, I don't know what to do. I'm going along and I'm just doing the speed limit, and then I see these deer in the field, and next thing you know, one jumps in front of me. I think there's things you can learn from that, right? It's like, okay, maybe you could slow down when you see deer in the distance. You see a deer out in the field, you don't know what he's going to do. Maybe slow down. If you see signs that say high deer crossing, that would be a good area to slow down. We don't have to drive the speed limit. I know that's hard to believe in Utah, but we can actually, it's not a law, you have to drive the speed limit. So we can slow down. When are deer on the move? When are they on the move? I mean, they are on the move in the morning and at dusk, right? Almost every deer claim you're going to get is someone driving from one location to another right when the sun's going down. That's when the deer move. And, I've just seen it over and over again. So it's great. Matt, I hope I did put you on the spot, but it just was perfect. When you said that this morning, I was like, thank you. You just stepped right into the mud. But anyway, that's where we can go. But first of all, this next little bit's going to be just mostly to do with the people that are entering your claims. And I know most of you do. A lot of you in here are the ones that have the claims for USIF. But if you have, we basically, for USIF, are covering 3 general areas. I mean, you have your auto coverage, your property coverage, and your general liability. And Johnny elaborated on the general liability a little earlier, so we don't need to get into that. You have cyber liability or, the different things. But I'm just going to keep it as general liability. So we get an understanding, so that maybe there can be some changes, which we all hate, right? The third thing we all hate the most is making changes. Your auto claims. First of all, every time you have an auto claim to your vehicle, there's a $1,000 deductible. So if you hit a deer, you're going to be paying $1,000. But so if you're going to have a claim where you've hit a deer and it's, you had the bumper guard and all that, and you found it's just a fender, it's $300. You don't need necessarily to turn in a claim because it's going to be under the deductible and the county's just going to cover it themselves anyway. So you probably could just save yourself a little time and effort by not having to go through that process. What about the other vehicle? What about the other things that you hit? And this is where people get confused. They'll call me up and they'll say, okay, we hit another vehicle. There's no damage to our county vehicle, but there's $300 to the other vehicle. Do we need to submit a claim? Because they think in their mind we have a $1,000 deductible. But they don't have a $1,000 deductible on that other person. They have a $1,000 deductible on their vehicle. So if the county has no vehicle and you backed into your neighbor's car and you have $200 damage, we can actually cover that claim. So we actually have some counties that didn't realize that and we're absorbing those claims as well. So I thought I'd throw that out. Property. So just for those who enter claims quickly, when you go on the claim recorder, you have 3 choices: auto, property, liability. And I want to really kind of hit that because there's been a lot of errors in that area. So property claims. These are buildings, county buildings that you own. They're anything you own. As far as structures, that is considered property. And they're covered for all risk. They're going to be your fire loss, your flood, your pipe breaks and floods your basement, and they're going to be these are your properties. So when you get in a claim and you've had an auto claim, you're going to click auto. When you have a property claim, a building, property. What gets people really confused also is, and then general liability. General liability is a third-party claim. So if it involves someone else, there's no deductible. Someone tripped and fell, someone, whatever they did on your, there's going to be no deductible on that one. And so when you go into your reporter and it brings up liability, just think to yourself, is this damaging someone else? And it's not an auto. You got to somehow add that, and it's not an auto. Because if it's an auto, you've damaged someone else, you got to go, it's an auto claim. So the general liability, anything but auto, would go into that category. You don't think I saw that yawn, did you? I saw it, he yawned, I caught it. So one thing I've learned is when you give a presentation, always don't be afraid to put someone on the spot because then they'll stay away. So he might call on me. So I think I'll start calling on people now. So let's go. next, I should go. On the vehicle claims first, on the auto claims. Here's a scenario for you. It's a county vehicle accident. County was at fault. County ran a stop sign. So county driver's negligent. 3 vehicles involved. He hits a car that then ricochets and hits another car. 3 cars, and then that car rolls off and hits a McDonald's sign. You know, knocks the marquee down. Unfortunately, there's 4 people injured in the first car because he T-boned it. This is an actual claim we had. I'm just so you know. How many online loss notices do you think you need to enter? Right, everyone's entering 1, right? He gets a smarty because he needs Facebook friends, and he might give them like.
This isn't.
But can I tell you how far he was off on being right?
On what?
On how many claims you need to enter. Does anyone have any idea? How many claims is that? How many claims should be entered? How many claims am I going to have online?
3.
You said 8? She gets up. There's our winner right there. 8 claims. So here's what's been happening. This claim came in. Morgan County sends it in 1 claim. Our county vehicle hit another vehicle, blah, blah, blah. And they enter 1 claim. So guess what I do? I go in and log in as that insurance coordinator and enter 7 more. Because
Hey, whoa. So we just have to do 1.
because why? Because we don't want to change, right? We're comfortable in doing that. And I'm not here to bring bad news and say, but if you wanted to do it correctly, let's just say, and make it easier on our end, technically you would handle in 8 claims. You'd handle a claim for the owner of the county. You'd order a vehicle for Jim that was hit in vehicle B. You'd hit for Joe, who was in vehicle C. You'd enter in a claim for injury to all 4 passengers. Then you'd enter in a claim for McDonald's, because every one of those is making a claim against you. So they would all be auto claims. So what they would all be, when you go in to log in, you'd put auto, because it's an auto liability. Even the sign, because don't get in your mind that that's property, because this is all auto cause damage, even though it is property. But it's been funny, and I've struggled with this concept of, do I bug the counties about this? And unfortunately, you've probably heard we've had a little kind of downsizing. I don't know if you've noticed that Lisa is no longer handling claims. So it's just me handling claims. And so there's been a little bit of some changes, and so I thought this would be a good opportunity to maybe do a little instruction on streamlining it just at our end. It'd be nice.
Streamline it for me to put 8 things.
I know. And you know what, and I totally get it. If you're really busy and you've got this claim and you got this scenario, enter it and I can do it. It's just would be, if you have the chance and you got the information, because what happens when you enter claimant?
We need to collect all that data anyway, right?
Exactly. See, that's the problem, is when you collect data, you got to enter claimant for McDonald's, you got to enter claimant for the butt injury, you got to enter claimant. Why not just do it on the loss line? And then I've got each claimant that is there. But I thought it'd be interesting to also just make you recognize that one accident can have several claims. I mean, and the good thing about it is one accident with our reinsurance company is one occurrence is one claim. So even though there's 8 claims, I was paying these and didn't even realize that I suddenly was getting to $250,000 and reported it to our reinsurance company, because if all 8 claims go over $250,000, then our reinsurance kicks in. So that's a good thing, rather than one claim having to get, $250,000. So anyway, does anyone have questions about that?
$250,000 after for one incident? Or
For one occurrence, yeah. So one occurrence. So this was all one occurrence. One deputy ran the stop sign, caused all this, but the one occurrence is our 250 deductible.
But I think the thing that confuses me is that you want an online loss notice, so I did that, not realizing that claims would be, to me, I know I can negate claims, but a claim and a notice were different in my mind.
Well, that's a whole nother,
Yeah, so.
yeah, that
So
gets
that's why I would only
confusing.
do it once.
Right. And that's understandable. You know, another thing that throws people off is they say, oh, wait a minute. Are you talking about a notice of claim from the county, or are you talking about a notice of claim from the individual that's potentially suing us? That's another issue. But I'm talking about the ones just strictly to USIP, and whoever's making the claim is the claimant, and whether, if they've done a notice of claim to you, attach it. So, yeah, I hate how there's that double lingo, but anyway. And by the way, I'm going to finish on time. So I'm going to keep us on schedule because I know people have things go, so I may have to go through a little, I'm going to go through a lot kind of quicker so that we can stay on schedule. I hope that's okay with John.
Yeah.
Is that okay? Because,
It's ice cream for break, so you gotta be.
yeah. So I'm going to kind of streamline a little bit. I want to give one example real fast though. So a vehicle, let's see, guess this right. A vehicle, not owned by the county, just a vehicle, runs into your county building. What are you going to enter that in as? Yeah, especially we had that happen on the night before Thanksgiving. A guy tried killing himself and ran his vehicle into a Weber County building, and then got out and staggered away. Started a fire, and the sprinklers kicked on and ran for the entire Thanksgiving weekend. Yeah, but that was a property loss because it was the county property. So even though it involved an auto, it's not a county auto, therefore it's a property claim. So, but yeah, tried killing himself, ran car into a vehicle. Crazy. So, let's move on.
The bad news is you got 8 different claims there with that scenario. The good news is you only pay one deductible.
Oh yeah, that's a good point too. I guess because I guess I just kind of summarized that. But you know, all the claimants don't have a deductible, so the only deductible coming out of you is the one from county vehicles. So yeah. Okay, moving on to the property claims. And this is where I'm going to cut some time out. So I'm just going to go through here unless there's no questions about it. Property claims, county building, water, wind damage, flooded basements, fire damage, no third party involved. The county does have a responsibility to mitigate the damages. What is that? Does anyone know what that means? What does it mean to mitigate the damages?
Don't let the neighborhood burn down and your building's on fire.
Don't let the what?
Don't let the neighborhood burn down and your building's on fire.
Yeah, or anything you can do to prevent the loss from being worse. So if you have a windstorm that blows the roof off your building, does the county have an obligation if the rain's coming in a half hour to hurry and throw tarps over it? They do, right? That's mitigating your damage. That's preventing further damage by just walking away. Hey, all right, we have wind damage, we might as well get a new floor. And walking away. They have that obligation to call a do you need to hurry and tell us, or can you call a restoration company to come put the tarps on?
Call restoration.
Call the restoration. We do not deduct. We do not look at that negative at all. If you have a roof blown off, get a restoration company in there ASAP and worry about contacting us after you've mitigated the damages. What does RCV versus ACV mean? Right, so what happens real fast? County building burns down. What do we pay first? The first time we write a check, what do we pay? Does the county have to rebuild the building? So we had this scenario. Building burns down, it's completely gone, and the county's thinking, do we want that building? do you need that building? And they're going to, actually, we've had it in a couple, we had it in Twilla County as well. What we would pay at that point is actual cash value, because we're paying the actual value of the building, and so that would be the amount of payment. Then you have, let me say 2 years. 2 years to then replace the building, and then you get that difference. You get the difference between what we paid you and what it actually costs to replace it, and that's the RCV, the replacement cost value. Do we pay upgrades? Let's say the state is now required that you have to have a fire sprinkling system in the building, and you didn't have one. Do we pay that? We did. We did. So we do pay those things that have come out that require upgrades, and that most insurance companies would not do that.
You cannot burn your building down on purpose.
Hey, I'm just knowing it's my house got hailstorm.
Yeah, yeah. And so anyway, that's just something that's also kind of good to know about your pool rather than an insurance company. I think that's it. Is there any questions about property losses? Because if not, I'm going to go through that pretty quick. Yeah.
Real quick, just because in the previous one you said it was listed as property, when the guy runs into the building, he would put in a property claim, but this one says property claim with no third party involved, so.
So this is, what I meant is that there's no, you're not paying a third party. Sorry, so that I can see where you can make that. Where looking at the other claim where the guy ran his car into us, I'm meaning that this is not someone else's property. Sorry, good catch though. In fact, that was good. You're a smarty for that one. Okay, so let's go through fast. What are the big claims that are happening right now? Does anyone have any idea where the big claims are coming from? Look at that. We are actually counties. Your maintenance people are amazing. They prevent losses. I can tell you, looking at this, I can tell you exactly which. This is 5. This is 3 claims, and this is 2 claims, and I can tell you about them without even having to look, because we have such a good maintenance program that when we have a bad year, something bad really happened. That was a fire in Weber County and a flood in Washington County where the library is pretty low in elevation, and a big rain came along and it filled it up. Unfortunately, this is the same library. We got rain damage again because it sat in kind of a bowl, and they had a whole system developed to prevent it. Except this time it brought in all these branches and trees and clogged it, and then caused the flooding. So, and anyway, and then a fire in Wasatch County and a fire in Weber County. They had another fire. So, but look at that. Just if I never said your county, you guys have a great maintenance program. So kudos to you on that one. But we're doing really good. Look at 2015, how low we are, and how low we were. So things you want to be watching out for. Have you noticed how many times they've said on the news lately that was a 100-year storm? I think they just talked about a tornado that landed right here in this county and how unusual that is. I'm hearing that all the time. Davis County had a windstorm, it was a 100-year storm. Washington County had the rainstorm, it was a 100-year storm. We need to go through our counties and think, if we had that storm, what would we do? What would we do different? The 2 fires, the 2 big fires were coals, left in the transfer stations, hot coals that caught on fire. And that was 2 of them. That was 2 of those big losses. Wind, you notice how the wind has been worse? Big microburst winds and things. We got to make sure our roofs are down, and we're doing things to protect our county from wind. Water pipes, that's always a claim we have with frozen pipes. In November, December, when your maintenance people haven't drained all the lines, and we get a heavy freeze, and they think, and then in the spring, they go to turn the water on, and there's a crack. So it's either fall or spring, who knows. But the secret is an annual maintenance schedule. Something that you just, every year you do this. Every year you drain the pipes on a certain date, or, and this is, I'm just gonna go right to that. So I think some of this is more interesting. Now on to general liability claims. So when you get on to report a claim, anything that's liability, someone else, this is where you're gonna wanna go. So this is anything to do with law enforcement, lawsuits, slip and fall, public officials liability where they made an error, county fair, derby. We had a lot we could talk about. I know Wasatch County had.
Let's not.
No, I want to tell you, no, actually this is good news on Wasatch. Did anyone hear about the derby in Wasatch County? Okay, so on the back of your ticket, you have a little waiver on there that says, you know, we're not responsible for that. So you think, okay, why did people sue in that situation? Does anyone have any idea?
They haven't yet.
No, they haven't yet. But do they? Why do they?
They didn't raise back the ticket.
Yeah, that's what some attorney will say, right? That's exactly what they'll say. That the reason we'll win that, and here's the difference. We have two scenarios, one in another county. In this county, is it expected that when cars hit each other, that a drive line will fly out of the car and land in the audience? Totally not expected, right? So did the county do anything negligent? They didn't, right? It was pretty much, you enter this as your own risk unless we do something negligent. That's the real kicker. So what happened in the other county, they had the same ticket. The difference was there was a gate. And the county guy forgot to lock the gate. So when the car went by and hit it, the gate flipped over and smacked two people. So, do we have liability on that claim compared to the Wasatch County? Right, we did because we did something that was not expected. The drive-by flying out, that's not expected. Yeah.
100-year storm.
Yeah. I mean, the odds of that were like so incredible that I don't even know to this day how that even happened still. But the bottom line is the waivers you have signed are basically saying unless we do something stupid. I mean, you can't waive that. You know, you can waive if everything goes as planned. We had a derby, cars hit each other, that's what they're designed to do. We don't have liability for it. So I think you're going to be okay to us with it. So I think we'll win that. So I didn't mean to pick on you. I think it's one of the most interesting claims. So anyway, we go on and report those, and this is so sad that we don't have a lot of time. Did anyone hear about this claim? This is Diggs versus Morgan County, because I'm going to give you a couple of horror stories that are just kind of interesting that you hear about it. So, interesting facts about this. This is a woman. She's driving the wrong way on the wrong side of the road. She's got no headlights on. It's a 28-minute high-speed chase. She rammed a county vehicle once. She backs up, and she goes to hit the vehicle, ram another vehicle, and coincidentally, the two deputies are brothers. And the one brother sees his other brother, but when the car goes to ram, he loses sight of his brother. At that point, he doesn't know if his brother's under the car or where he's at. So he shoots. I mean, that's the picture of him shooting right there. So he shoots at her. It hits the windshield and slows down the bullet, but it lodges in her right eye and blinds her. So when you get this claim, this kind of makes you nervous because you're like, woman, blinded, shot in the eye. What's a jury going to do on that, right? I'm going to cut this one really short because we're just running out of time. The great news is, guess what the result was? It never got to a jury. Why? Because the judge, on motion for summary judgment, ruled that, he was not using excessive force. There's no excessive force because why? A vehicle can be used as a deadly weapon. You don't have to go to a jury. Because I don't want to go to a jury in Weber County or anywhere in that area with a woman with a bullet in her eye. You just right there, you can have jurors go, give her $1 million, So that's what governmental immunity gets you. Jorgensen versus Iron County, and I know someone in here works with the jails. I know, and you do. Yeah. You're not in Canada, right? Okay, I get this claim, and I'll tell you why it made me nervous. We have a guy that's in jail because he finds out his wife's died. So they let him out of jail to go to his wife's funeral, and they bring him back to jail. Well, he's so distraught about his wife dying and everything, they put him in the suicide watch cell. Okay, in the suicide watch jail, they're supposed to watch him so often. You know, go by every 20 minutes or something. There's a set time, and guess what? We didn't do that. Next, you know how in a lot of like bathrooms and that you have the drain, storm drain, drain in the floor. It has like 4 screws in it. Would you believe that one of them was loose? So he took that screw and undid it. Took his sheets and used it as a knife to cut the sheets to make a noose. And then to make the story worse, this is an old jail that they had remodeled, and at some point it had a fire extinguishing system, water pipe sprinkling system that had run through that room. And they had cut off the pipe and put a cap on it and pushed it into the wall and covered it with drywall. Well, this guy's sitting in his jail looking at the paint, and he looks over and he says, you know, there's a little bit of a smooth spot right there. I wonder what that is. So he takes that screwdriver, he scratches and finds it's the capped off end of a pipe. Well, guess what that cap was used for? A perfect place to hang a noose. He pulled it out just enough to get that, hung himself. Now, you would think I would just write a check, right? I mean, I actually, honestly, I thought we would cut a check. But long story short, we went to a motion for summary judgment. We didn't get out as easy as the last one. This time we were told, you know, maybe there's some negligence there. We better go up on appeal. So I went to appeal, and guess what happened on appeal? We won. Even though there was negligence, there was something that happens in jail that doesn't happen in the regular public. And that is that we had to show a deliberate indifference. We had to show that we did something deliberately indifferent to this gentleman that caused him to die, rather than just negligence.
They had to show that.
Yeah, the plaintiff had to show that we did something deliberate. But did we deliberately not come by every 20 minutes? No. I mean, that was policy procedure. That wasn't necessarily deliberate. The screw will be loose. The pipe is nothing, and we just won this case. We're out. Isn't that awesome? So, yeah. Deliberate indifference, huge thing in your jails. Make sure that you guys do nothing deliberate. Lastly, I know you guys think that I deny every claim, right? I wanted to show you an example of sometimes where we take accountability. And that's what I liked about you said, is not only do we defend the claims that we should defend, like the last 2 I just showed you, which, by the way, an insurance company, I won't mention other names, but I know insurance companies that have settled claims like those. I mean, if you're Darien Hunt, if you look that one up in Utah County, they settled that. $900,000, we would have never settled that. But every once in a while, a claim comes along that you think I need to settle. And here's a scenario. Deputy runs a stop sign, T-bones an accident. They do a property notice claim. This is a 16-year-old girl. So she's a cute cheerleader, popular around school. It scalps her. She gets scalped. This picture is actually mild. If you look at this scar right here, it took and it peeled her head all the way back. Did I make them file a lawsuit? They did a notice of claim. Did I wait a year to make them file a lawsuit? No. Because why would I? The county is at fault. This is a horrible scenario. So what did I do? I called the attorney and said, we need to figure this out. So, to make a long story short, we cut a check to him that included medical bills, by the way, all medical bills, everything, $100,000. To me, I think it's a great deal. I mean, your daughter, 16-year-old's been scalped. maybe she's gonna get $40,000 by the time we get attorneys and expenses and all that. But do you see the advantage of not going to a trial? Can you imagine what a jury might do? This is the kind of claim a jury might say, let's give her $1 million. She's got a scar, that scar is there the rest of her life. And she's gonna be a model, you know, apparently. I mean, that's what they'd say, they did in this case. But, you know, that's what they would in a jury, right? I mean, a jury, she was gonna be the next American Idol. So, that's what USIP does. You know, we pay when we owe, and we don't, we defend when we don't. Anyway, we're at 3:20, so I actually went 5 minutes over, and I'm just gonna go ahead and cut it. Because the bottom line is, if we do loss prevention, lower claims, pay what we owe, defend what we can, we then make the county commissioners happy. That's our county commissioner there. And any other questions? If not,
We'll give you ethics.
and you know, all of you are so smart. I'm going to put these Smarties back in the back. So if you didn't get a Smartie, you want a Smartie, I'm going to put them in the back. But any other questions that can't wait, or should we just go right to ice cream? I'm hearing ice cream, right? Ice cream for ice cream. Okay. Thank you.
So we do have ice cream break next door and do some more networking. We've got it scheduled for a half-hour break, but again, I know everybody wants to try and get out and do some hiking, so the sooner you're back in your seats, the sooner our final speaker can get started, and the sooner we can get you out of here today. Let's go get some ice cream.
I can't believe I was sitting back here yawning on purpose and you didn't see me.
Oh, I did.